All right, and welcome back to the forecast card. A little bit of a sketchy start, starting at 0-3. I was prepared to come on here and say we had another losing day, but everything else kind of locked back in. Marquette, not really much to say about that game. Yes, they lost outright, but man, they were up 2 with the free throw, missed the free throw. I think if they get up 3 there, St. John's is not really that great of a three-point shooting team. And I think they miss, and then we end up covering. But fortunately, they missed the second. Game goes to OT. They lose by 2. They shot below 50% from the free throw line. I think it was 9 for 22 or like 11 for 22 or something. I can't remember. But yeah, just a very subpar free throw shooting game from them. Not really much else to say. Kansas State, just a bad bet, honestly. I kind of wrote off Iowa State after their last game, where they kind of looked shitty, but in a revenge spot here against a Kansas State team there's nothing to play for. Maybe Iowa State was the right side. Kansas State kind of fought back a little bit at the end there, but Curtis Jones just could not be stopped. Tennessee, this team fucking sucks, man. They only end up winning this game by like 12 or something. I don't even remember what it was. Yeah, they win this game by 10. Not much to say. Another team that shot. This was the game that they shot 9 for 22 from the free throw line. Just pretty shitty from them. They did not defend very well. I did not expect South Carolina to be able to drop 65 on the best defense in college basketball, but it seemed like they just didn't care much for this game. I thought they'd be a bit more motivated. Jamari Thomas looked really good. Like Pringle looked really good. Not much to say. Just a bad bet. Cornell, they could have kept running up the score if they wanted to. It seemed like they kind of just kept letting Dartmouth back in the game, or Columbia back in the game, but they ended up dropping 100 points, winning by 19. LaSalle, I think LaSalle won this game outright. They won this game by 7, just completely crushed St. Joseph's. Probably one of my better bets on the slate. UConn, this was a bet that was added a little bit later. I really wanted to fade Seton Hall one last time. And they did. They completely crushed Seton Hall. They won by 31. Indiana, the lock of the day. So sweaty. I genuinely thought this was a terrible bet after like the first half. They just couldn't get anything going. They couldn't stop Ohio State, but they only put up 25 points in the first half, almost doubled it in the second. They locked back in. Malik Renault went crazy. Yeah, a pretty solid team effort. Parrish started to miss shots. Royal was turning the ball over. A pretty solid win. Not as sweat-free as I was hoping. Obviously, it was the lock, but it is what it is. They do come through for us. Colorado, they win by like 20 points. Pretty dominating performance from them. Just some bad matchup for TCU. Florida State, another one that was added in the pin comment. Hopefully a few got on it. They won outright. SMU just had nothing to play for on the road. Florida State has a couple seniors. They played hard for them in that game. Utah State, basically what I expected. They got embarrassed. Shit on Air Force. They were pissed off. 2 road losses come at home. They end up winning by 40. That one was probably the least sweaty of every game that I bet today. Xavier, man, so close to covering in the end. I think they only end up winning this game by 10. Not much to say. I thought they would completely crush Providence, but Providence shot 50% from 3, 11 for 22. Not much you can do when Providence has a solid shooting night. C'est la vie. Pitt added later, also sweat-free. They dominated that game the entire way. Fairfield ends up winning this game by 9. The score indicates that this wasn't sweaty, but this game was pretty close back and forth. Quinnipiac took a few leads, like 6 or 7 point leads throughout the game. So that was, I wouldn't say it was not sweaty, but the score indicates that this game was not as close as it actually was for most of that game. But we take that one. And lastly, Weber State, a little bit sweaty at some points, but they ended up winning this game by 13. Just a better team at home. I love that spot for them. So 10-4 in the day, up about 2.5 units based on my unit sizing. I take 0.75 units on any locks. 0 to 7.1. There's just too much variance in college basketball. If anyone tells you something's a lock, they're just lying to you. There obviously are really good spots, but I don't believe there's ever a time to bet ridiculous units in college basketball. The variance standard deviation is just way too high between performances, so you're still flipping a coin at the end of the day. A lot comes through 13-6. I really don't like the slate for today, if I'm being totally honest. I tried to find 7 spots that I liked. There's about 3 spots that I would say I like, and then 4 that I like enough where I'm going to sprinkle. I'm probably going to do quarter unit, half unit on. I'll let you know what I'm betting on each game, but let's get into game number 1. All right, heading on to game number 1, we have Winthrop versus High Point. Now, it scares me a bit to take High Point here because they crushed Winthrop twice already this year, and the line is still this low. I think they will beat Winthrop by 20 both times. But I think this is just a clash of 2 very different play styles, and High Point is on the better side of that. Winthrop, obviously, they're going to get to the line a lot this game, but they don't shoot the free throw well at all. They're ranked 336th, and on a neutral court, where it's going to be probably more High Point in the audience, I think they're going to shoot poorly. So free throws, I'm not too concerned about. They get to the line a lot, but they suck at shooting free throws. But yeah, matchup-wise, High Point, they're a team that shoots a ton of mid-range and threes. They're going to have a huge advantage here. They're top 50 3-point percentage in college basketball against a top 300 3-point defense. Ranked number 2 mid-range percentage. They average almost a 50% from mid-range, which is insane, against a ranked 243 mid-range defense. They're going to find a lot of success on the offensive boards. That's where they get a ton of their points, ranked 40th in second chance percentage against a Winthrop team ranked outside of the top 200. High Point, top 75 in free throw attempts per game, top 70 in free throw percentage. They average 75%. And Winthrop does foul quite a lot, just about as much as High Point does. So I really don't think they have that significant of an advantage there. On the other side of the ball, Winthrop, they are the number 1 team in college basketball in terms of how many shots they take in the paint, almost 50% of the shots in the paint. And that's actually the spot where High Point defends the best. This is not a very good near basket offense that Winthrop has. They kind of just flail around and try to get boards and then try to get fouls. But again, sure, High Point's going to foul, but I think this High Point team is just way, way better. Winthrop, they really rely on getting points off steals and points off second chance opportunities. High Point, basically top 75 in both limiting second chance opportunities and limiting points off steals. So I'm just going to take the team that's crushed Winthrop twice. They're the better team in basically every statistical category that they like to offensively. They have really good matchups defensively. The one thing that High Point struggles in defending is the mid-range, and Winthrop takes 10% of their shots from the mid-range, and it's usually a panic shot when they can't get to the paint. So you could argue that they're going to be looking at the paint, and they might be able to keep this game closer. But yeah, I just think High Point has been the better team. They're playing out of their mind, and you could argue this is a double revenge spot for Winthrop. But in this tournament setting, I think High Point is, I wouldn't say they're the favorite to win the conference, but they're playing like it. They're the better team on the road in general. They've been the better team in neutral rating settings. Last 5, they've been almost a top 50 team. Winthrop also has been basically a top 50 team in the last 5 games, but I'll say this again. Winthrop, who'd they have to play to get here? They played UNC Asheville, Longwood, some decent teams, but I don't think they're even close to High Point. I think they match up well against those teams. So, I'm going to take the better team here, who's just matches up really, really well against Winthrop. Obviously, don't love the spot because of the double, tournament setting. Winthrop's been playing really good, winning 10 of their last 11. But their 2 losses recently are against High Point, and I just think it's just a terrible matchup for them. So give me High Point to lock in again. They know they can beat this team, so I think they're going to be playing with a ton of confidence. All right, I think this is actually my first time backing Iowa all year. I don't think they're a good team at all, especially without their star player. But Nebraska also is really not that great of a team. But largely the main reason I want to take this side here is the line is a bit too heavy for a Nebraska team that really doesn't blow teams out. And this is a must-win for Iowa. If they win this game, they get into the conference tournament. If they lose the game, they're out of the tournament. So they're going to be playing like their entire season is on the line, because it is. And obviously this hasn't been a phenomenal season, but I think every team wants to play in the in-conference tournament, kind of prove themselves, get some more airtime. On paper, both these teams are going to have probably no problems offensively. They're definitely both more offensive-leaning teams, especially Iowa. They don't really shoot anything specifically. They shoot almost all of their shots equally. 40% from 3, 40% from near paint, 20% from mid-range. They're going to get some points in the paint. They're going to get a lot of points from 3. They're going to get a lot of points off steals. Both teams aren't really going to get to the line very much. Both teams don't foul. Nebraska, they're going to have a lot of success on the offensive glass. Definitely going to be a problem for Iowa if they can't stop them there. But yeah, again, I think Iowa has the offense to keep this game close. I think they have a lot more riding on this game. Yes, it's Nebraska's at home in their last game here, and it's a pretty tough travel spot for an Iowa team that plays way better on the road, but they're coming off 3 losses. And if they won any of those games, they would have saved their season. So I think they're going to be playing with a lot more desperation. Nebraska's coming off a really tough game, loss against Ohio State, where they put up 114 points and lost. I think they're going to be a bit gassed. And Nebraska's already lost to Iowa. Obviously, they lost to Iowa with their healthy star, but an 18-point swing, I think, is a bit too much here for home advantage when Nebraska doesn't necessarily have that massive home advantage here. So I think Iowa, I don't love betting them, but +8 in a desperate spot in a spot where Nebraska has nothing to play for. Give me Iowa here on the road +8. All right, now game number 3. We have Colgate versus American. Now, I think this Colgate team is actually just a better team than American. Obviously, American is one of the teams that plays really, really good at home, and they're going to be at home in this game. And they have obviously the much better record. But like stats-wise, they're really not a better team. Colgate obviously slightly worse defensively, but I think they're a much better offensive team. I think they're going to find success here, especially if you look at regression. This is a Colgate team that's 13-8, but they've been getting really unlucky. Their shot quality records suggest they should be 17-14. American on the complete opposite, they're 18-12. Shot quality suggests they should be 15-15. And this is a Colgate team that kind of went into a bit of a slump, but I do think they're just straight up the better team. They shoot a lot of threes and mid-range shots. They're going to find a lot of success in basically everything offensively. American is not a good defense at all. They're not really a team that relies on offensive points or anything. They're actually just a solid team that shoots the ball well. American on the other side, they're also going to probably find some success against 3 because Colgate defends the 3 poorly. But I think Colgate's just the better 3-point shooting team. Yes, American is not even ranked top 200 in 3-point percentage. And they played some really, really bad defenses, having one of the easiest schedules in college basketball. And that's basically all they do. You might get some points off steals here, but I think Colgate is going to have way more offensive weapons here. They're due for regression. American has beat them twice this year in both games, and I think they're going to have a lot more to prove here than Colgate. So, I don't really have anything else to say on this one. I think it's a double revenge spot for Colgate. They just had a really solid performance against Army. They just shot really poorly when they played American. I don't think that's going to happen twice. They held American to 67 points. I don't know. I don't trust this American offense, and their defense isn't that great. If you look at American's last 5 games, they put up 60, 72, 69, 48, 60, 67, 71. This team is not that good offensively. Colgate, 84, 59, 81, 65, 79, 91, 87, 82. I think they're going to find success here. Double revenge spot. Yeah, give me Colgate. Better team. Due for aggression. And this is where they're going to shine. All right, heading on to game number 4. Probably one of my favorite bets, which is going to be Charlotte plus 1.5 at home versus UTSA. Now, UTSA is a very unique team when you look at their stats. And what I mean by that is they're the fourth best free throw shooting team in college basketball, and they're the number one team in potential points off of steals. They're also a decent three-point shooting team, but their variance in three-point shooting is just too much. I think they're going to struggle, especially on the road here, in a really, really significant travel spot. Now, when you look at this UTSA team, Charlotte, not very impressive offensively. That's obviously true. But one thing that Charlotte will do, and they'll do it every time, is they get to the free throw line. They're ranked 29th in college basketball. They're going to be at senior night at home. They're going to have that home whistle. This game really doesn't mean anything for either team. But Charlotte, they're also a very good free throw shooting team, right? 69th in college basketball. Obviously, UTSA is the better free throw shooting team, but they're not going to get to the line nearly as much. Charlotte, as I mentioned, ranked 29th in college basketball and getting to the line. UTSA ranked 335th in the amount of free throws they give up. So I think Charlotte here is going to get to the line a ton with the home whistle. They're going to get in the paint. That's basically all they do is they force themselves into the paint, get to the line, play aggressive. And UTSA, yes, they're really good at forcing turnovers. But Charlotte's actually one of the better teams, especially in the conference, at limiting turnovers. They're the number one team in the American Conference in not turning the ball over. And I think that's going to benefit them a lot here. UTSA is not going to be able to bully them. They're going to be super tired. And in general, this is just a really weird spot for this UTSA team. So they're going to be their last game of the year before the tournament. And they're traveling over 1,000 miles for this game. And the last 4 games they've had to travel this far. They've had some pretty rough games. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Charlotte at home have won 2 of their last 4 at home against some decent teams. Rice, Temple, they kept it pretty close against Wichita State. Teams that I think are better than UTSA. If you look at the head-to-head this year, they haven't played yet, so there's not really anything that UTSA is going to be doing in terms of reading matchups. But yeah, I think this is just a great spot here. You have Charlotte coming off a really rough 3-loss road trip, coming back home. UTSA traveling, pretty significant distance, 1,000 miles to play the one last game before the tournament. Probably annoying for them to have to do that. But I just love the spot for Charlotte. Obviously, UTSA in a vacuum is the better team, but I think Charlotte shows up big time at home to finish off the year with a win. All right, and this brings us to game number 5. Now, Santa Clara, I have a future on them to win this conference. Obviously, it's going to be tough to compete with Gonzaga or St. Mary's, but those teams are basically already locked to make it to the tournament. And I just think Santa Clara is one of those sneaky teams here that is really talented. Now, obviously, Pepperdine just had a pretty impressive win over Oregon State, and they beat Portland on neutral court. But I genuinely think those were fraudulent wins. This Oregon State team has always been fraudulent. They only play good at home. The second they hit a neutral court, they don't play nearly as well. Same with Portland. Now we're getting Santa Clara here in a spot where I think they're going to be super motivated. They've only beaten Pepperdine by 11 last time they played, but that was kind of a meaningless game, in my opinion. Against Santa Clara, I don't think Pepperdine can put up 80 against the Santa Clara team when they're trying their hardest. Yeah, I think this is like a 25-point win for Santa Clara. If you look at the matchups, they're the way better team in almost every category. They're going to have a ton of success in the paint. They're going to have a ton of success from 3. They're going to absolutely dominate the offensive boards. Pepperdine, they're a team that likes to shoot mid-range. They might find a little bit of success in the paint, but they're not going to get many offensive boards. They're not going to get to the free throw line. They played a bit of an easier schedule. But yeah, Santa Clara, I just think this is a spot here where they're going to show up in this tournament. They're going to be super well rested. Pepperdine's going to have to play back-to-back games. Kind of an awkward spot for them. Or this is going to be the 3rd game in 3 days. I think they're going to be tired. Santa Clara, super rested, watching all the tape on Pepperdine in their last 2 games. They're going to know exactly how to beat them. Give me Santa Clara here to win this game by 25 points. All right, heading on to game number 6, we have Delaware versus William & Mary. Now, there are historics that suggest that this is a over that won't hit. But but the head-to-head is just too good for me to pass up in terms of like how these two teams match up. Both teams awful defensively. Delaware ranked 331st in defensive efficiency. William & Mary ranked 255th in defense efficiency. Both these teams are going to find a ton of success in the shots that they like to take. William & Mary takes a lot of threes and near basket shots. These are spots that Delaware does not defend well. On the other side, Delaware is going to also find a lot of success everywhere they like to score. Neither of these teams are good on the offensive glass, so I think it's going to be extremely high-paced, just shoot type of game. Not going to be a lot of multiple possession. Get the offensive rebound, kick it out, and then start up another shot clock. Delaware, 48th fastest team in college basketball in pace. William & Mary ranked 24th. Again, both these teams do for a little bit of positive regression on their offense. I think this is going to be like a 178-point game. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring affair. No defense. Yeah. Especially Delaware, this is going to be the third game. I think typically when you're tired, your defense is what starts to lack, especially against a William & Mary team with a lot of good weapons. So, give me William & Mary here. Give me the over 162.5. This line is like 164 everywhere, but it's 162.5 on FanDuel. So if you still see that line, I would definitely take it. It's like 2 points better than anywhere else you can get it. In game number 7, we have Minnesota on the road here versus Rutgers. Now, Rutgers has been a better team to end the year, but I straight up just love to take this Minnesota team on the road. I love to fade them when they're at home, but when they hit the road, they play better. That's all I can say. Minnesota, they're a team that relies heavily on the offensive glass. They're ranked 7th in second chance opportunity percentage. Rutgers ranked 327th in limiting second chance opportunities. I think I don't think either of these teams do anything better. Rutgers is a worse defense, but a better offense. Minnesota plays a very slow game. They've been a better team, but I don't think neither of these teams are really playing for much. I just like Minnesota on the road, especially after they had a few stinker games at home. They go on the road and they seem to show up. Don't really care necessarily for Rutgers senior night when their 2 stars are freshmen. So I don't think it matters as much for this Rutgers team when they're building around these 2 players. Obviously, both players are obviously going to go to the NBA. There's no chance they don't. So I guess you're not really building around these freshmen, but it is what it is. A pretty underwhelming year for having 2 stars that are both going to be leaving you next year. So, give me Minnesota here, plus 5.5. I think this game's going to be really tight. And Rutgers' lack of ability to do anything on the boards, to me, means that they're going to struggle this game in stopping Minnesota from getting some free points here. In terms of leans, I like Bucknell -6. Not really a fan of the number, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's a little bit awkward, but I think they're a much better team, especially lately than Navy is. Oregon, this is Washington's last game at home. The line's a little stinky. Obviously, Oregon is the way better team on both sides of the ball. If this was in like a tournament game, they'd probably win this game by 20, but Washington might show up here for their seniors. Not going to touch it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Oregon win by 10. Northern Colorado, I think they completely blow the barn doors off on this game. But anything could happen with Weber State. But I think North Colorado is just way more of a full team, and I think they show up. In the Drake game, on paper, they're obviously the way better team. They should win this game. But as a few people on my Discord had mentioned, this is a spot where if Bradley wins, because of their better record, they get an insta bye here to the big tournament. If they get 27 wins, Drake's already locked themselves in. They have a lot less to play for. I think the division is going to intentionally make sure that Bradley makes it. But I do think Drake is just a better team. I don't really think there's any beef between these 2 teams. There might be a world where Drake just wants to make it so Brad can't go to the big tournament game. I don't really know exactly if there is, but I'm not touching this game. I'm going to watch it, though. I think it'll be fun to see if the league does try to break it on purpose. But anyways, those are the 7 games that I'm betting. No locks today. I don't love anything enough. If I had to pick a game that I love the most, it's realistically probably the Santa Clara game, the Charlotte game. or the Delaware versus William & Mary over. Those are the games I'll probably bet half unit on. The rest, I'm just going to sprinkle a quarter unit just to have some action. But yeah, it is what it is. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all the new subscribers. As always, make sure you check out my Discord down below. I do have just a free community. It's not like a paid bullshit or whatever that all these other people kind of panhandle for free for shit. All my picks will always be free. Just kind of hoping YouTube kind of does well because I really enjoyed talking about sports. But yeah, I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.